I am so sorry about those videos that did not come through well, but I hopefully tonight we will be able to come up with some videos and finish it off so that you guys can get to class before next week. So we were talking a little bit about building websites, and now we're going into something called personas. Now, interesting, if we look at this specific slide, it's about being overwhelmed. Um, Today, having too much information is the problem. We all are aware of Google Analytics. It can track many, many things. And what it does is it helps us optimize our websites. But the thing is, if we don't know exactly what information we're looking for, we can be overwhelmed. But one of the things, interestingly enough, is trying to create a persona of that person who's coming to your website. So we're going to talk a little bit about that now. So on any given day during the month of November, December for the jewelry business, we were receiving 8 football fields of people to our website. So how do you decipher exactly how to program a website or how to create a website that talks to those million people that are coming to your site? What are you going to do? How do you talk to each individual? So what we've come up with is, it's not what we come up with, the industry talks about something called personas. So you have some people follow demographic information, other people follow psychographic information. Personas is a mashup of any information you can find out about the consumer and using that information to be able to create this human being, this persona. And by doing that, when you start building out your website, you start asking yourself, what actions or what target this person specifically fits into. And therefore, I need to build my website to fulfill their motivations and their wants and likes. Because now I don't see my customer as a bunch of numbers. Now I can associate my customer as an individual. And as you'll see a little further down, exactly how that's done. So, what do you look for when you want to understand what to talk to or who the customer is? So you want to know what their goals and tasks are. You want to know what motivates them. Is it impulse? Is it information? Whatever that is, you need to find out. What attitudes does your consumer have? How does he feel about specific things? Does he care about blood diamonds? And therefore, you need to make it clear on your website that your diamonds are conflict free. What are the characteristics of this person? So when you think about pictures and you think about all those things, that will determine based on what their characteristics are if they'll respond to that. So when you think about characteristics, you have to think about um, demographic, what kind of computer these people use, so build it accordingly. What kind of jobs, what kind of knowledge do they have specifically when it comes to digital? So all those things you need to think about when you are building your persona. What goals and tasks that do these people have to come and do when they get to your website? What activities are you going to have on your website, or what activities do they do that you can relate to? What motivates them? What influences them? Is it fashion? Is it, things that you can build a persona on based on their motivations? What expectations do they have? Do they expect to feel the jewelry? Do they expect the jewelry to be exactly the same size as it is in the picture? What are the expectations? And what attitudes do they have? So, how much information is enough for these customers? Well, whatever, if you're selling makeup, right? How much information does the consumer want? Your specific persona that you believe is your ideal customer, and what you have or what you're offering today, is it enough? And also, most importantly, what trust and assurances do these specific consumers need to feel like they want to do business with you? So, how do you come up with all these narratives? You have to work with your customer service people and you have to interview them to find out when they're speaking to the customers, what, or the specific customer you're trying to attract, what stories do they tell, or what narratives can you pull out, or what words, what keywords do they constantly hear? And you need to look through all that data, and you need to find out, right, the terminology they use, the things that get them going, and you need to coach your customer service people or anybody who is customer facing to try to pick up on those cues. So on ice.com, we had, we looked into this whole personas, we read books up on it, and we decided that based on how much traffic we have, we need to talk to a specific persona to be able to make sense of all the data that's coming in. So we, after many weeks and weeks of back and forth, it was actually 3 months, we came up with Sarah. And Sarah is single. She works in advertising. She loves to make fashion statements. She can't afford a lot because she's not making enough, and she lives in an expensive apartment where she pays most of her rent, her paycheck. So she just broke up with her boyfriend. She goes out 3 nights a week. She works you know, that she always wants to look good, and she wants to accessorize outfits. So when we think about that, there are many motivations and many different aspects that can affect how we market to that specific person. And then we had a secondary persona that we came up with. His name was David. He was a stockbroker. He loved the high life. He enjoyed travel. He's getting engaged, and he is a procrastinator, like most men. He dislikes shopping, but he's very, service oriented. He likes when he gets serviced. He's searching actually for the perfect ring at the best price, and therefore, how do we speak to that person on our website? Now, these are two distinct personas, and there's a lot of real estate on your webpage that you can talk to them. So for us, Sarah was primary, and David was secondary, and therefore, as you'll see in the next slide, that how much real estate we use will determine where most of our sales, who's the more important persona. So when you think about the personas, you need to think about what their motivations are, and then create that scenario on the website. Give them the offers that are necessary to get them to act, and then action. They need to do what you want. So when we think about Sarah, right, things that motivate her are fashion. She's very fashion oriented. She reads InStyle. She reads Harper's Bazaar. There's a lot of aspiration there. And then because she doesn't make enough money, so affordability is a big deal. So what we've done is we finance payments. So we tell them, you don't have to pay it all up front. You can pay us in 5 payments. So that for someone like her is a very important thing. And impulse, right? So if she knows that today she only has to pay $12.99 out of the $150, that gets her impulse going. If she sees how other fashionable people on our website are using our jewelry to update their outfits, for her that's very important. So when you think about this, right, you have fashion, right? Right there is fashion, right? That's very impulsive, right? We used great imagery. That's extremely appealing. We talk about money back guarantee. We talk about, that we give them the ability to pay in 5 payments. And also, we implemented our blog, and our blog was very important because what it did was it gave us the opportunity to update fashion forward tips or ideas or news that related to jewelry, which people really, really are, Sarah really related to. So when we think about David, right, what are his motivations? He needs to buy the diamond ring, right? He's been procrastinating forever. She's bugging him. So he needs to educate himself because he's spending a lot of money on this ring. So he must educate himself. He has to have the ability to feel like he can talk to customer service, but maybe not necessarily personally, but if you have the chat feature to talk, for him it's less intimidating. So we implemented that as well. And he wants it to be accessible. He wants to be able to access all this information by the tip of his fingers and feel comfortable when he's doing it and secure. So when we look at our competitor, I mean, when you look at, right, so no pressure, no commissions. For this guy, for David, it's a very important thing because he's not being intimidated. He's not being pushed into a decision. He has to make the decision and buy the ring, but you're making him feel like he's in control. Um, Again, having different things on the website that sort of push that specific message, right? Education, right? For him, he likes the ability that he can really understand diamonds and what makes them pricier or less pricey. And then but he likes the accessibility, right? He has the ability to build his own ring. It's accessible to him. So again, when we think about these different personas, right? So what's the action that we want? What is the trigger here? The action is to help her make an impulse. This is impulse buy. And what triggers her is the look and feel that makes her feel fashionable and fresh and keeping the content always fresh so she has a reason to come back. For David, the we want to enable him to make a ring because that's the first step. And we found that when people created a ring, by using this building tool, their propensity to buy was much higher. And then how are we going to get him to buy eventually? What's the trigger? To educate himself, because then he'll feel confident that when he's making that decision, it's a good decision.